It's about that time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of City Views. We want to thank the sponsor of City Views, Toth Insurance Agency, located at 1151 East Main Street. Better protection, better value. On today's show, ladies and gentlemen, we are so very happy to bring to you the new executive director of the Warner Theater, Rufus de Rham. Good morning, Rufus.
Good morning. Glad to be back on City Views. I have to admit that the City Views theme song has been stuck in my head for the last week. So you know it's a hit when your jingle can't get out of your head.
Yeah, I have a lot of sleepless nights over that too.
Yeah. It was like 2 a.m. last night, and I was doom scrolling through Twitter, seeing what was going on in the world, and then City Views.
There's so much to talk about, so many questions that I have for you today. And one of the things that I think makes your story somewhat unique and special is the fact that you bring a lot to the table. But one of the things that we, as an arts community, was very keen on was making sure that we were getting contributions from the young people in our community. And you have definitely set that effort in motion. And would you mind sharing with us some of your insights on the arts and why your passion burns so hot for the discipline?
Yeah, I mean, I think arts are an essential human right. I mean, this is the oldest form of community, is storytelling around the campfire, is song and music, and this is how we tell our stories and create empathy between us and pass on knowledge from generation to generation. I mean, it's fundamental to who we are as a species, and arguably a big part of the reason for our evolution. I mean, our brains' capacity to create is wholly unique, and especially with everything going on right now in the world and the tumult and the just it's just that doom scrolling. I mean, that's like really what it is. I mean, it's needed to bring communities together and try to find a place of healing. And for a place like Northwest Connecticut, which is rural, which never recovered fully from the last recession, you know, this is a fabric that can bring all of us together and really push us forward as a region.
I agree wholeheartedly with you, Rufus. And your selection as the executive director of the Warner Theater came at a very auspicious time.
You can say that again.
when we first met you, and you had your first appearance on City Views, it was as the executive director for the Northwest Arts Council. And I think people recognized your significant input there, and definitely endorsed your appointment as the executive director to the Warner Theater. What experiences kind of laid the groundwork for you to make that transition so successfully?
I think it was just, I mean, the connections and the network and the support I got from the community, and just getting to know the leaders in the community and the artists and the other organization leaders, and building a cohort around a shared ideal that not only is arts key for the economic future of Northwest Connecticut, but it was key for the cultural and general well-being of Northwest Connecticut. And that's really what sort of helped my transition. And the other part of it was that Steph Burr, who's now the executive director, and Maddie Stenson, who both worked for us, or both worked for the Arts Council with me, were just primed to be the new leaders. I mean, they've taken any little bit of thing that I'd started there and just ran straight through to the the goalpost and knocked it out of the park. I mean, that's a lot of sports metaphors I just mixed there. I mean, they really stepped up during COVID, and I'm so grateful for their leadership in the region and what they've done. And they get it, and I think that's exactly what we need. I look at all of the young people at the 5 Points Center for Visual Arts and their Launchpad. I look at people like the Boondocks Film Society who are just doing things, and even people like Rana, just putting music onto the streets in Torrington, and just like, it's this generation that we know there's problems and we know there's issues, but we're not going to sit around and complain about it. We're just going to be like, hey, here's the solution. We're going to do it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we tried.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a component that's specifically associated with your generation, which I personally really appreciate, because it's easy to get bogged down and sedentary.
Yeah.
And I'm really, the people that you just mentioned, it really bodes well for our future, because when you have people that have that level of concern and are willing to put in that level of time and commitment to the projects and activities that they're participating in, nothing but good can come from that scenario. And it almost scares me to think where we would be right now if we weren't challenged with the coronavirus.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like, look, like my generation, look, I watched 9/11 happen live on television.
Yeah.
And we were told, oh my God, this is a once in a lifetime event. And then we got put into a war that's still going on.
Right.
I have friends that went overseas, got shot. Then we were told, go to college, you'll get a job, no problem. We all graduated, the economy tanks, once in a lifetime event. And then now we're living through just once in a lifetime superstorms. So it's like, we already know, but what gets us through all of this? Art, music, movies, community. And it's not, for us, I think our generation, it's not about we're going to make the most of our short time on earth. We're not going to try to amass, I mean, some of us, of course, there's always going to be people that try to amass wealth. But for a lot of us, and for me and all of these people that we've been talking about, and a lot of people in the community, Torrington's filled with people of all generations, not just mine, their purpose is giving back to the community. We want to make the place we live a better place. We want to help our neighbors. We want to help our community. It's not just about us. Or just about me. It's about all of us. It's about Jacques, let's work together on, whatever we need to do to make this place a place that I'm proud to be. I'm proud to tell my friends in New York, oh yeah, I moved back to Northwest Connecticut and I don't miss New York. I miss the food. I love Italian food, but can we please get some sort of other cuisine up here? But, I think that's the driving force of this, is that we recognize that there are a lot of issues in the world, and we don't want to just wallow in it. We want to fix them.
Let's just hope that we get things turned around so that we're not going to have another catastrophe looking at us 10 years from now.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think one of the ways that is happening is through the collaborations and the innovation of the artist communities at the state level. And one thing that I'm really excited about that's going on here is the convergence of our commerce in terms of highlighting the arts community and the things that the arts are needing through the period of coronavirus. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you guys have been able to kind of regain your footing, in a sense, through the help of some of our state resources?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just the advocacy. I mean, it was using our connections and to just say, look, this is important. The theater, performing arts have been decimated. It's the industry that's been hit the hardest, or one of the industries that's been hit the hardest, and we need help to survive because this is. And we shifted it. Look, politicians, they understand economy and they understand voters, right? So it's like, okay, we shifted and said, look, this is infrastructure. We're talking about critical infrastructure. It's not arts funding. It's not so we can put on a show. This is about the Warner generates $8.1 million for the state of Connecticut, and we support 122 full-time jobs. And that's just through our economic impact. And that's just one venue, and then we said, if you don't do this, and we got all of the mayors together, and they, Mayor Carbone was right there with us, with the governor, talking about the importance of the art to Torrington. And we got all of the council of governments, all of the regional council of governments to sign on to this and say the arts are critical for us to rebuild our regions. Because look, if the Warner died, Torrington would be decimated. Downtown Torrington would struggle for decades because who is in their right mind is going to buy a theatrical building, a city block, the size of a city block? It's not going to happen. And that's what really got it. And then at a federal level, it was all of the people watching this. 2.1 million people emailed their representatives to say, hey, save our stages. This is important. This is important to me. And look, it was bipartisan. People listened. So if you actually get off your butts, call and email your senators, you can actually make a difference. And up here on the local level, you're talking about 25 emails is sometimes all it takes. Not even 2.1 million. So I think it was really the community's support rallying around the artists. It was the artists going and talking to the reps and calling the reps. It was the work of places like the Northwest Connecticut Arts Council, which was hammering our state and our state reps to say, look, our artists are suffering. They're out of work. They're out of jobs. They can't get access to unemployment help. We need support right now. And, it was just that combined effort to say, like, art doesn't magically happen. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of people working. You just released a whole album. That was not an easy effort for you to do that. That takes a lot of time and expense and personal effort. And, that's something that people need to recognize. It's like all of those TV shows that you binged during the coronavirus, all of the Tiger Kings and all of the Schitt's Creeks and all of whatever you watched on Netflix, that was an economic engine of epic proportions. And I think that I'm hoping that this has given people an insight into that.
Well, I think there still is that gap, Rufus, where people don't see the pertinent and relevant aspects of an artist community, and especially in a town like Torrington, where it was traditionally a mill town, manufacturing town. So many people are like, we don't need art galleries, we don't need theaters.
I think I think that's I mean, look, and I don't mean this in disrespect, but Torrington is not a unique case. There's mill towns, depressed mill towns all over this country. And there's a lot of them that are thriving. And it's the ones that recognize that the future of this was manufacturing, but small manufacturing, was agri-tech, was green tech, was recruiting other types of new economy jobs into the region, and having a cohesive vision. And that includes art and culture to draw the companies there to keep their employees there. I travel extensively through this country. I go on a lot of road trips, and we travel through the South and through the Midwest all the time. And the towns that are doing well are the ones that have done this work and have a basis of art and culture. And Torrington has that. It's just, and this is not just Torrington, it's all of Connecticut. The mentality is Torrington's Torrington, Kent is Kent, Salisbury is Salisbury, Warren's Warren. And we have these silos, and you don't really understand what goes on in our town. Well, that's not true. Everybody understands. Like, it's not a mystery. It's a rural micropolitan area. We're not unique. It happens all over, all over the country. And there's keys, there's frameworks, and there's things that we can do to push it together. And, honestly, get on board or get left behind, kind of. It's like we need a cohesive downtown. We need a cohesive plan. We need to all be working together, and that includes job creations, manufacturing plants. Because what do you think? Anybody that's going to build a factory downtown or in Torrington, they're going to be recruiting employees. The only way they keep employees in Torrington is if there's good food, good beer, good music to go see on the weekends.
Well,
it's an ecosystem, and also too, it's social services. We need to make sure that we have the social services that support our community and support the people that are in need, because we live in one of the richest counties in the world and still have 10% food insecurity. And art can help that. Art and art organizations can help expose that in a meaningful way, to teach empathy and to tell those, help those people in need to tell those stories. And art can connect people to those things through music, through story, through painting, whatever, to start that healing process and support. And I think I like to tell everybody, like, Torrington's great. We have a great art community, and we have a great social service community, and we should brag about that.
Absolutely, we should.
We serve the whole region. We are the county seat for Northwest Connecticut.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to touch on, Rufus, because I think that you understand the importance of community engagement, and you understand the fact that there's more resources in our community than we probably perceive. We just need to dig deep and wide to discover those resources and those assets and how to develop and cultivate them. One of the things that we participate in, Rufus, is the government relations meetings that the Chamber of Commerce holds every month, that Joanne Ryan, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, encourages even non-members to attend.
Yep.
Talk to our audience, Rufus, about how important that is, that people understand the relationship between our government and how our arts community connect.
Look, I can't even begin to say how easy it is to get a hold of state reps and government officials in this region. I've lived and worked in New York for over a decade. Those reps aren't getting out of bed for more than 10,000 emails about something. You're not going to get. I have our state rep cell phone numbers in my cell phone. Like, you're never going to get the opportunity to make a direct impact. And the thing that just makes me so frustrated, and I'm sorry, but it's a lot of your generation and older, is people that say, well, they don't care, or they're not communicating with us, or whatever, both parties. I'm not picking sides here. It's just, oh, I don't know what's going on, and they're all in Hartford. I'm like, are you kidding me? Everyone has social media now. Everyone has an email newsletter. People have their phone numbers on their government websites. Pick up the phone and call them. They'll call you back. You know, like this, it's go to the Council of Governments meeting. You can sit in on those as a citizen and bring up something that's concerning you for the region, or go to your town meetings, or get off your butt and run for office. I ran, and I'm sitting on the Board of Finance for Kent. I said, hey, I want a young voice who's willing to make this place an affordable place for young families to live. And that was my mission, and the townspeople voted me in. And I'll give you a secret. It's not that hard. So it's like, it's people have to realize, not only do we live in a beautiful place, we have tons of resources, we have tons of organizations, we have more art and culture than you can throw a stick at up here. But yes, we have a ton of issues: transportation, food insecurity, terrible internet. I know you personally suffer from terrible internet.
Lord have mercy. Yeah.
And there's solutions. We have plans as a region to come together to do this. But the people that are listening to this have to push their local selectmen or mayors and townspeople to work together. And it's not just Kent. The things that affect Kent also affect Torrington. You know, it's not a huge region. It's not a huge state. I could drive to the other side of the state, and it's like taking the subway from Harlem to Brooklyn on a really slow day. It's not, I drive to New Haven to eat, or go to Hartford to see a show all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you have to get out of the mentality that if you can't park in front of a place, it's too far. And I don't mean to come off as aggressive here, but it's just, come on. Like, this is the mentality that we're facing. It's complacency. You can't be complacent. And there's always going to be people that just want to complain. And no matter what you put in front of them, they're going to complain about it. They're going to say, oh, well, you know, I tried to get a hold of Michelle Cook and she's not getting back to me. I'm like, Michelle Cook is one of the most easily accessible. She's out there handing out food to people in need right now. She comes on your show all the time to tell you what's going on in the region. You know, like it's BS. I'm sorry. Like, you're just complaining to complain, or get involved. Like, it's not hard. Serve on a town commission. Get involved with downtown economic development. Like, get involved. You complain about slow internet. Get involved with your municipal fiber movement. There's solutions out there, and again, art is a way to, you know, and local shows like this. And you know, I go on WZBG the first Thursday of every month. Local radio, local TV. This is the way that you get information. And it's our job as organizational leaders and as people that have access to come on your show and talk about issues to say, hey, there are these resources out there. And it's our job to educate ourselves and not wait for someone else to do it. We have to say, as a citizen of this region, and I believe in the future of this region, I am going to educate myself about the resources that affect the whole region, so that I can say, hey, do you know about the Food Hub program? Or do you know about like the municipal fiber program? Or, you know, like maybe you should call this person. So that's the biggest, if anything comes away from my interview with you today, man, that is my biggest piece of advice. Stop complaining, get off your butts, and get involved.
Which leads me to my next question, Rufus. What's your outlook for 2021?
Well, I was positive. Then, no, I think it's going to be a long 2021. We're not through this yet. Vaccinations are coming. They're people in need are getting them right now. It's going to happen. Businesses, you still need to go support your local businesses. Stop ordering things on Amazon. Go support your local businesses. I try to do takeout once or twice a week, from local businesses, just to support the restaurants. And we need to work together. I mean, that's the thing. And if we do that, we are going to set up the Northwest corner to be able to recover from this. If we don't work together, it's going to be exactly like the recession in the early 2000s, and it's going to take decades for us to get over it. I'm a naturally, I'm a naturally optimistic guy. I think we can make the changes. I'm already looking at things like the Arts Council's putting together a cultural day later this summer. We're going to be a big part of it at the Warner. I'm talking to the other arts organizations in Torrington regularly about how we can help each other recover after this. And I'm talking at a state level with the other major theaters to say it's not about competing anymore. It's about how we're in this together. How can we help each other? How can we collaborate, and how can we cooperate? So pretty positive for me. And the Warner's going to still do things. Like, look, we're putting up a new one-act play every other Friday. Every 2 weeks, there's a new one-act play on our YouTube and Facebook page and our main website. We're having live staged readings in January. Is going to be bedtime stories. And then we're working on another one in February. We're working on something in March and April. And these are all going to be free for the public. We're not making revenue, but we believe that community engagement is crucial. People need this entertainment. They need to see that we're still alive, and we're going. And our education team has been offering free weekly workshops to all the students that were in our programs, because they go to different schools and they can't see each other. So we're offering a safe social space where they can be themselves and see their friends virtually, and it's all free. I mean, and we're lucky that our community stepped up for the Warner to support that. People underwrote all of this for you, the audience, to enjoy. And I think that's what makes this region special, and that's what gives me hope for 2021 and 2022, is that we help each other. We as many issues. Look, I have two neighbors, right? We don't see eye to eye politically at all, but we still help each other out. We've shoveled each other's driveway. We've watched out for each other's, that's what makes this whole region special. And I think, that's what gives me hope.
Well, Rufus, we have hope because we believe in your leadership, and we know that you're going to continue to do whatever you can to make sure that the Warner Theater is a vibrant part of our community. And as long as our leadership continues to stress how very important it is that we all work together, then I think that bodes well for our future going forward. So, Rufus, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to the audience at City Views.
Anytime, man. You want me on? We'll chat about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I think our next conversation, we'll talk about your big head.
Yeah, sure. We can do a show of me trying on hats that don't fit.
That would be must-see TV. Rufus, thank you so much. We look forward to speaking to you again soon. And I personally look forward to catching you on our next government relations.
And thank you for all you do for the community, Jacques. Man, you're everywhere. You're one of the first people I met when I moved back up here. And I've seen you like at least once a week since.
Well, yeah, I'm like peanut butter, man. Once you can't get rid of me. Ladies and gentlemen, Rufus de Rham, Executive Director of the Warner Theater, doing big things in the city of Torrington. You guys stay tuned. We got more good stuff coming at you right here from City Views. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel at cityviews-ct, or you can catch this interview on our website at cityviews-ct.com. Bringing it to you today with our special segment, What's Cooking, with 65th District State Rep Michelle Cook. And Michelle, talk to our audience a little bit about your personal reflections on the recent events that just took place in Washington.
There really are no words. I understand that people are angry and frustrated. I understand that people are in denial of an election, and their truth is their truth, which becomes very complicated for somebody to argue about. But I think that we have truly seen a level of unrest and loss of civility and loss of respect, not only respect for each other, but respect for our country, for others have put into place for us to ensure that our country, was widely respected and in most cases feared in a lot of ways. But if you look at us now, we are not necessarily a country to be feared. We are not necessarily a country to be respected. And, it breaks my heart to see where we are. It breaks my heart to see that we have elected officials that, contrary to what somebody might believe, they're taking a job for a reason of bettering their communities or bettering their countries. And I know that there's people that have, personal opinions on that, and that's not the way that it is. But, when I ran for office, I didn't run for office to be able to put myself in harm's way. I ran for office to try to make things better. And all of the folks that I know that are in DC, whether it be elected officials or staff or interns, you fill in the blank of all the people that walk the halls of those buildings, any of those employees, they don't work there, and they are not an elected person because they should be put in harm's way. They're trying to do, the government work, whether we agree with them or not. There is a way to be civilly respectful and disagree all at the same time. But when we start looking at what's happening now, I think that we really have to take a step back as to who we are as a person and who we are as a country, and where we need to go from here, because I don't know anybody that says that we need to go there again.
It could have been much worse. And I think that is what really haunts me. You also had your ceremonies on Wednesday at the State House. Talk to our audience a little bit about the security preparations that went into that activity taking place.
So we were sworn in on Wednesday for the 2021 legislative session. And we knew very clearly, we had already gotten wind that there were going to be protesters, but we have incredible security. Our police, our Capitol police officers are amazing and protect us in a way that I've never felt so protected. And, we had Jersey barriers right there. Our Capitol grounds were closed off to any visitors. And if you were protesting, you needed to be in the park, just below the north steps of the Capitol. So there were officers at every door, and when we were outside, they were outside, and when we were inside, they were inside. I don't envision what happened in DC happening to us the way that we were prepared. I don't see preparedness in the DC situation. I just don't. I don't understand why doors weren't locked from the inside, where you could get out, but you can't get in. When you see the news and you have a standoff with guys on the outside of the House chamber, with guys on the inside of the House chamber, and there's guns on both sides, and they've barricaded the doors with furniture, you're in a complete lockdown. When you see some type of tear gas or what have you going off, when you see your congressional delegations putting on gas masks to ensure their safety, that's just beyond my comprehension.
Mine too. And as a citizen, we fought a civil war over the Confederacy, and to see Confederate flags in the people's house as some type of trophy it strikes at the heart of what our democracy is all about. To hear people try to blame the media for what happened, not realizing that AM radio is just as much a contributor to this as the insiders were there that day inciting this action to take place, I put it squarely in their laps. And until somebody in that party says, hey, let's try to clean this up a little bit, we're going to be in for a rocky road the next few years. We are supposed to be committed to working toward a more perfect union.
True.
And those are just basic constitutional precepts that have to be somehow disseminated throughout our society, I guess, because I guess people don't understand or think that. Because what I hear, or a lot of people talking about the problems that we have that are going on, with absolutely no pathway for remedy.
So
leadership.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. I think that starts from the top, right? And regardless of what top that is, whether it's the top of your business, whether it's the top of the government, whether it's the top of your community, whatever it is, that you lead by example. And we've always been taught to respect those in charge and not disrespect and so forth and so on. I also believe that there's a true element of instigation that we should hold people accountable for, and not make excuses for that. But there again, I go back to it. It's what you and I see, somebody else is going to see totally differently. So it's very difficult. I mean, I might not agree. Like I said, you and I might not agree on a lot of things, but I'm going to respect your opinions. Respectfully, I will disagree with you. But I'm also not going to charge your door, flatten your tires, or wave a gun at your head. I'm not going to threaten your life if we disagree. For me, I have a value on things. I think that the value in people's opinions right now on what is happening. The reason why those folks were charging the Capitol, they view things totally different, not in a manner of which I can understand, not in a manner of which you can understand. Jacques, I've ran for office 7 times now. This was the first time that I had death threats. This is the first time that I've been followed, that people have followed me in my car. They have followed me in my walk. You were with me one day. This is the first time I've had people go up and down my house like I'm being stalked. Or I had to have the police involved in a manner where they literally had to go see people because of what they were doing. This year has been a year of complete civil unrest. People feel like they don't have to follow the rules. And I don't mean rules in like, you don't have any rights. I'm just the civil liberties of which we all have. Because you don't agree with me gives you the right to threaten my life. Because I'm the one that is running for office gives you the right to follow me because you don't like something that I did. I mean, like, where is the boundaries? Where is the respect? I mean, I might not like the person that's in office as president, or I might not like the person that's coming into office as president. Regardless of my political views, that's still the president. Might not like them, but they're still the president. I might not like my principal in the school, but I'm going to respect them. But then there's a level of earn the respect or lose the respect. And I think that that's where you and I agree in that regard, but it becomes very, some folks handle their levels differently. I'm not saying it's right. By no means am I saying it's right. With what happened on Wednesday, I hope they arrest every one of them that charged the Capitol. I hope that they arrest anybody that didn't do their job all of those things I hope are taken care of.
Now, Michelle, this is something that I think is very important in this discussion, because part of this civil breakdown and civil unrest has occurred with our elected representatives. For example, on the floor, when someone is entertaining a motion or adopting an amendment, you're not supposed to presuppose their motives or their intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that happening all the time without any rebukes. And that discourse that's taking place in our congressional chambers is leaked outside into the larger society. That is what I've seen developing and happening over the last few years. And
so you look at our chamber, Jacques, we can't even clap in our chamber, right? You're not allowed to have a conversation with another legislator if you're debating a bill. Everything goes through the speaker.
Correct.
So in my role as the deputy speaker, and I'm on the dais and I am leading the discussion and I'm managing the floor, it is my job to ensure civility. It is my job to ensure respect and a decorum of which that building deserves. And I don't mean that building because the four walls are the answers, but it's everything that it stands for is what I'm talking about. But that is my job. And then when the speaker himself is there, that is his job. And the same as in the Senate, and you, like I said, you fill it up the food chain or you go down the food chain, however it looks. But we have to hold people accountable. But it is about leadership and accountability. It is about respect and dignity. Be proud of where you are. Don't disrespect where you are. Every day I walk into that building and I'm still in awe in the fact that, oh my goodness, this is where I am. I am in the people's house, doing the people's business. I don't disrespect my fellow legislators. We might not agree, but I'm not disrespecting them in a manner where I'm booing at them and throwing things at them. And, I don't understand that. I don't. And then when we're in the position we're in now, I just can't wrap my hands around it. I can't.
But Michelle, the reason why this is happening is because it's been a slippery slope. I mean,
but so go back to that, Jacques. Who's to blame?
Well, actually, what I think is to blame are people who aren't even elected officials. They are media personalities. They are to blame because they get all these people.
I think there's a lot of blame to go around.
But let's just be honest. There's a basis from where this emanates from. When they got rid of the fairness doctrine and misconstrued news outlets and media outlets, entertainment outlets, so that now these entertainment outlets can spew all this toxicity into the airwaves without any accountability and try to represent themselves as a news agency.
Right.
And then people.
But it also is here. Social media, the pros and the cons. Right?
Right.
I mean, I'm not arguing with you about the media world. But at the same time, I can put out here anything I want. And there are people that are going to believe it without ever doing any type of fact check. Any at all. So I sit here and I hit send. And it's out there for the whole world to see. I mean, I love social media. I love the internet. I think that it has made our world so much smaller, but it is also destroying us from the inside out. The point being that if I have the ability to make up anything I want and put it online for anybody to see it, and then that person, you know, that whole telephone thing, one person tells 10 and they tell 10 and they tell 10, but now with social media, one person could tell a million people at the flip of a switch. We could be instituting, you know, all sorts of things by some non-factual line that I wrote right here. I mean, we've got to do more. We've got to do our homework. We cannot just believe it is because somebody said it is. Have some personal responsibility and ownership and do your homework, and make sure that where you're doing your homework from is from factual sites. You know, I'm not talking about NBC, Fox, Battle. I'm not talking about any of that at all. I'm talking about when you're on the web and you are looking for things, or somebody posts something on Facebook or Twitter. I don't even have a Twitter account. So that's, you know, I'm not really good about talking about what's on those things. But, you know, when there's those accounts where you can put out anything, do your homework. You know, that's where it starts. It starts with us. It starts with personal responsibility. You know, if I said to you, hey, Jacques, you know what? The sky is black out there today. Are you going to go out there and look, or are you going to take my word for it? I mean, you know, like we have a level of responsibility. And if somebody said, you know, there's an accident on 202, so please avoid that, then that's something a little bit different. I'm going to avoid 202. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. But if somebody tells me that there's going to be, you know, there's going to be a disruptive march at the Capitol, I'm going to find out where that is, and I'm going to turn that information over to some other people who have more institutional knowledge than I do on things and say, can you please look into this, because this could be a problem. I am not going to be the person that spreads send and share so everybody else can look at what may or may not be an upcoming threat or a problem. So in the big scheme of things, we do have some self-responsibility.
Right.
You know, and that's where I think that we've kind of gone a little bit of astray in that regard. That we don't always do our homework. We don't always investigate where the source is or what the information is. You know, we just take it for granted. I mean, I remember my father, when the internet came out, God rest his soul, that, you know, he would send me stuff and I'd be like, Dad, it's not true. Because the internet was so very new. And generationally, if you didn't grow up with it, you didn't understand some of the differences. It was really a learning curve. You know, and then it's growth and it's understanding. And then it's like, okay, well, now I got to check this and I got to check this, because you're right. It's really not always accurate. But how many of us are doing that? Or how many of us are just believing what we read?
Well, I think that's predicated upon a situation, Michelle, where we all have busy lives, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you work your 8 to 4, 9 to 5, you come home.
10 to 10.
Whatever the case may be, you turn on the TV and you just automatically accept that the news that you're getting is credible. And that used to be the standard for generations. But now you have a false narrative being put out into the airwaves that has somehow co-opted itself into congressional legislation. And even though it's more on a national level, it's supported by local communities. The Josh Hawleys of the world have people who voted for them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because, and why is that? That is because somebody says something that person has thought or believed, right?
yes.
And I think that's, you know, 4 years ago, and when the election happened, the reason why the election played out a variety of different reasons for a variety of different ways. But when you look at when you look at people that are, they're not necessarily politically entrenched. They're not necessarily, quite frankly, they might not even care. They're your worker bees that are doing their thing, and they're just trying to get by, and they're, like you, like me, you live paycheck to paycheck. You're doing everything you can to ensure that you keep a roof over your head and some food on your table. And if you are blessed, all of those things happen to you and you have your health. But then you have the other folks that might not have what you and I would call blessings. They might not have those. There are those folks out there that work 2 and 3 jobs. They still can't make ends meet. They're not able to have a roof over their head. Sometimes they're homeless. Sometimes they go to bed hungry. They can't pay their bills. You fill in the blank, and they need somebody to blame. And so obviously, and the obvious peoples to blame is the government, right? It's not necessarily individual blame, because we feel that we're doing everything in our power to make it right. But the government somehow is making it wrong for you. So then you are angry with the government. And then when somebody comes in and is running for office and says all of the things that you've said or thought at your kitchen table, or you've talked about in the locker room or at the lunchroom, that's a breath of fresh air from the traditional suited, Democrats and Republicans that have always ran for office. The problem that you have with all of that is where we are right now. There's also that lack of disrespect for the positions of where we hold. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, unaffiliated, you fill in the blank. None of that matters as long as we can all agree in a respectful discourse. But when people start having their lives threatened, when people's lives are uprooted, when people are, in a manner where they cannot walk out of their house or do their job in a manner of which they need to because somebody else has threatened them. Why has that person threatened them? Why don't they believe in the person that's there? Because of something that they've heard or because of something that they've read in somebody else's interpretation. And 9 times out of 10, nobody picks up the phone and says, "Hey, Jacques, I heard you say this. Did you say that? Because what you said really bothered me. I just want to clear the air." We don't do that anymore. We communicate behind these. And we need to get back to the communication of in-personness. Obviously, right now, it needs to be 6 feet with a face mask, but we need to be able to be respectful, know your neighbors, know your community members, get involved in your community. I don't care what that involvement is, but get involved. Instead of spouting off what's not factual, learn the truth. If you want to know what's going on locally, go to the local meetings. If you can't get to them, most of them are on the internet, watch them. If you want to know what's going on at the State House, watch what's going on at the State House. Get involved, ask questions. If you want to know what's going on with your federal government, I urge you to do the same. Don't sit back and complain about it. Do your research, get involved, be active, ask questions, learn the facts. But if we don't learn the facts and we're just assuming that what I hear or what I read is right, we now see what has happened on Wednesday. And that scares me. It scares me for our communities. It scares me for our states and our countries. It scares me for our kids and our kids' unless we get it under control.
Well, I pray for all of our elected representatives and public servants that they adhere to the Constitution. And I also ask that same from our citizenry, that we're vigilant, yet mindful of civil discourse that's necessary in a constitutional republic. So,
me too. I mean, it's Jacques. It's not right when When I ran for office, my father's biggest fear, and that was in 2008, my father's biggest fear was that something would happen to me. And me, in my, Dad, I'll be fine. Nothing is ever going to happen to me. And subsequently, within a year or two, Gabby Gifford got shot. Doing her job in a public appearance. My father instantly calls me and says, kiddo, that's what I'm talking about. It's not safe. You really need to rethink it. My response to my father is, Dad, I took this oath for the people. Not something that I had ever aspired to be, but something that I truly love now. You know, and I, a born and raised Southern Baptist girl, believe that if it's my time, it's my time, short of me jumping out in front of the bus and ending my time a little bit early, I will be protected in a manner. But at the same time, I didn't take this job for somebody to take my life. And I could say that for any of my colleagues at the State House and any of the people that I know in DC. That breaks my heart that we have people that are being put in harm's way for selfish, independent viewed individuals. I don't mean independent and party-like, it's just my own independent views. My kids should not have to lose their mom because she's an elected official, because somebody doesn't agree with them.
Well, my friend, I think God's dispatched many, many protective angels around you to make sure that you go through this journey unscathed. And if that doesn't work, I got these.
It's not about me. You know me well enough to know it is not about me. But it shouldn't be that way. And that's just not with the government. That's with any position. You know, we shouldn't go, we should not handle different views that way. And that for me is overly concerning. It's overly concerning when we can still justify what happened on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't mean the we's, but there are enough people out there that can still justify what happened on Wednesday. And there's people out there that will tell you that's just the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are better than that.
Of course we are.
We just need to remind ourselves and figure out how to get back to who we were.
That's right. And I know that this segment first started off as kind of an interview from City Views to Michelle, but this has turned into more of a conversation and a discussion. And Michelle, I hope you don't mind that it's kind of taking this turn, but I think that the topics that we discuss are very relevant.
No, Jacques, I don't mind at all. I really think it's about an open and honest conversation about anything, whether people agree or disagree. I mean, and that's what's going to happen. And people need to know that it's not just about what happens in Hartford, but it's about what happens everywhere. And it's not just about what happens in DC, but it is everywhere. And everybody is affected. I don't know about you, but when I came home Wednesday night after that long day of everything, I was in tears. I literally was in tears. And not because I knew anybody specifically that got hurt, but I do know that our country is hurt. And I know that I'm watching the next generation and the generation after that witness what they should not be witnessing. And it's not about fighting for what you believe in. I'm not saying you should not have freedom of speech and freedom to peaceful protest. But we learn by example. And in my heart, that's not the example I want to set for our country and for our kids.
There you go. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of City Views. Don't forget to check us out on our YouTube channel and subscribe at cityviews-ct or go to our website at cityviews-ct.com. Stay tuned and check out more coming at you right here from City Views.
City Views, City Views, City Views.